The council chamber was silent, yet the silence was heavy with hidden danger. Alien leaders sat in tall golden chairs, their eyes glowing with secret thoughts. At the center of the vast hall, a giant screen showed the face of Earth's leader. He spoke with calm strength, his words filled with hope and unity. For too long, the galaxy has lived in fear, he said, but humanity believes in peace. Humanity believes in building together, not destroying. Some aliens listened with interest, but most of them looked away with cold eyes. They were not interested in peace. They feared the rise of mankind. Among the council, whispers spread like poison. He unites too many, one alien murmured. If humans rise, our empires will fall, another hissed. Their claws tapped the tables, their tails twitched in impatience. The decision had already been made, though no one dared to speak it aloud. Earth's leader did not know the trap closing around him. He thought his voice was changing the galaxy. He believed that reason and fairness could overcome greed. But deep in the shadows of the chamber, assassins were waiting. The meeting ended. The great leader returned to his private room. His guards stood firm, but they were not ready for what came next. A single figure slipped through the darkness, moving like a shadow. The assassin's blade glowed faint blue, sharp enough to cut through armor. The leader turned, his eyes widening as the blade pierced his chest. For one moment, silence held the air. Then the guards shouted, but it was too late. The greatest voice of Earth had fallen. On the other side of the galaxy, council members smiled in secret. One alien raised a glass of burning red liquid. "It is done," he said coldly. "The humans will break without their leader." But far from the council's chambers, on Earth itself, the reaction was not what they expected. The news spread across cities like wildfire. Billions wept. Billions clenched their fists. Children cried in the streets, mothers raised their heads with anger. Soldiers across Earth bowed in silence, then lifted their weapons with fury. The assassin believed he had killed one man, but in truth he had awakened something far greater. The wrath of an entire species. From the deserts of Africa to the icy fields of Siberia, people gathered. Every screen showed the image of their fallen leader. Every heart burned with the same thought. This will not go unpunished. Deep beneath the ocean's hidden bases stirred to life. Machines long kept secret began to hum in orbit. Silent stations sent coded messages across the void. Generals looked to the stars and whispered, "It is time." The council thought they had ended Earth's hope, but in truth they had written their own doom. For the death of one man had united humanity like never before. Grief had turned into steel, sorrow had become fire, and the galaxy would soon learn the true meaning of human vengeance. Ships that had been hidden for decades began to awaken. Black warships rose from secret docks. Massive carriers lit their engines under the seas of Europa. Silent cruisers glided from the shadows of Saturn's rings. The council celebrated their victory with wine and laughter. They imagined humans collapsing in fear, but they did not see what was really coming. They had planted a seed of fury that would grow into a storm. The stars themselves seemed to wait in silence, as if the galaxy held its breath. Because all knew once humanity rose in anger, nothing could stop them. The betrayal was complete. The assassin had done his work. The council believed they had won. But in the darkness of space, vengeance stirred, and soon it would burn brighter than suns. The news of Earth's leader's death spread like fire across the stars. On every colony, every station, every hidden outpost, the same message flashed: the leader is gone, murdered by the council. For a moment, humanity stood in silence, but that silence was only the breath before the storm. In the underground war bunkers of Earth, alarms screamed. Old codes long thought forgotten appeared on secret screens. Red lights flashed as generals gathered in a hidden chamber. Their faces were hard, their voices low, their eyes filled with the same fury. "They killed him," General Hayes said, her voice shaking but steady. "They thought we would break, but we will show them what humanity truly is." Around her, men and women nodded. They had prepared for this moment for decades. Hidden fleets, silent weapons, dark projects, everything was ready. Across the solar system, strange signals were sent. Encrypted messages pulsed from satellites that even the council did not know existed. On the moon, hangars opened in silence. On Mars, giant doors slid aside to reveal war machines older than the colonies themselves. Deep in the asteroid belt, shadows shifted, and fleets hidden in rock began to move. The people of Earth did not beg for help. They did not collapse in fear. Instead, they answered the call together. Millions lined up outside recruitment centers. Factories lit up the night sky as workers forged weapons at impossible speed. The death of one leader had become the command for all humanity to rise. On alien worlds, spies reported this movement back to the Council, but the Council only laughed. "They are angry," one alien admiral sneered, "but anger is not power. Their fleets are small, their reach is weak, their courage will die in the void." Yet even as he spoke, his words trembled, because deep inside even he feared what he had seen in human eyes before. The funeral was held in the heart of Earth's capital. Billions stood in silence as the coffin passed. Every soldier raised their hand, every citizen lowered their head. But when the coffin was laid to rest, the silence turned into a roar, a sound so powerful that even the stars seemed to tremble. It was not grief anymore, it was a promise of vengeance. The generals wasted no time. The fleets were awakened, and one by one, they answered the ancient call. The first armada rose from the seas of Europa, their ships like shadows, their weapons glowing red with fire. The second armada broke free from Mars, engines brighter than dawn pushing them into the stars. And then came the third, silent warships hidden near Neptune. Cloaked in black, they vanished into hyperspace like ghosts. Whispers spread through alien empires. "They should not have killed the human leader," one governor whispered. "Do you not remember their history? Do you not remember what humans do when they are cornered?" But the Council refused to listen, their arrogance blinding them. They had ruled for centuries, and they believed no young species could ever touch them. In a hidden chamber far beneath Earth, General Hayes stood before the gathered commanders. On the screen behind her glowed the symbol of the Terran defense. She raised her hand and spoke, her voice sharp as steel. "We are no longer defending, we are striking." A silence fell across the room, then one by one the commanders nodded. It was no longer about survival, it was about revenge, and then, with a single command, the fleets began to move. Across the void, engines roared. Warships that had slept for decades now lit the darkness with fire. Alien patrols felt the shift in space, but too late. For humanity had already begun its first strike. Children looked up at the night sky. They saw trails of light stretching into the stars, and they whispered to each other with tears in their eyes, "Our leader is gone, but his spirit flies with them." On the Council's homeworld, messengers arrived with urgent reports. "Human fleets are moving," they shouted. But the Council only laughed again. "Let them come," one elder said. "They are nothing before us, but far away." In the cold, dark void, human ships moved like hunters, silent, patient, filled with fire, and soon, the galaxy would learn that the call of vengeance was not just words. It was the rising of a storm no empire could survive. The betrayal had begun the fire, but now the call of vengeance was spreading it across the stars. And every alien who had smiled at the death of Earth's leader would soon learn the price of waking humanity's wrath. The alien fleets drifted in calm formation near the edge of human space. Their commanders were confident, their weapons aimed at Earth. To them, humanity was broken, weak, too emotional to fight back. But deep in the void, silence was moving, and shadows were preparing to strike. In the blackness beyond Neptune, Terran warships powered up in total silence. Engines burned cold, weapons charged without sound. Every ship was cloaked, hidden from alien sensors. The hunters were ready, and their prey had no idea death was coming. Admiral Reyes stood on the bridge of the human flagship, vigilant, her eyes sharp, her voice calm. "Tonight, the galaxy learns the price of betrayal," she said, and with one signal the fleet broke into formation. Thousands of ships moved as one, like wolves circling their prey. Alien patrols scanned the empty stars. They saw nothing, they reported nothing. And then, without warning, their first cruiser simply exploded. A beam of white light cut it in half. The crew didn't even have time to scream. Panic spread through the alien fleet. "Contact! Unknown ships? Impossible, how are they here?" Admirals shouted orders. Weapons fired wildly into the void, but every shot missed. Because the enemy was already gone, human ships struck again. This time, railgun slugs tore through an entire line of alien destroyers. Metal ripped apart like paper. Fire burned across the stars. The aliens had numbers, but they had no strategy against shadows. For every human ship they thought they hit, two more appeared from nowhere. Admiral Reyes watched as the battle unfolded. Her voice cold as iron. "Do not let them retreat." "No survivors," she commanded. Her officers obeyed without hesitation. Every Terran ship moved like it was part of a single mind. Fast, precise, merciless. The alien commander screamed into his comms. They fight like predators. They move like they've studied us for centuries. His words were drowned by the explosion of his own flagship. A human missile had found its mark, ending his life instantly. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy's armies felt fear. They had believed humans were children with toys. But tonight they saw a nightmare rising from the dark. And that nightmare was unstoppable. Entire alien squadrons tried to flee. They jumped into hyperspace. But even there, human ships followed. Interceptors cut them down mid-flight. The void was littered with burning wreckage. The stars themselves seemed red with fire on Earth. The people watched the battle reports with wide eyes. Every destroyed alien cruiser sent cheers across cities. Every victory gave hope to billions. The death of their leader had not broken them. It had made them stronger. The Council received the first report in horror. 70 ships destroyed in one night. By humans, the messenger stammered. The elders shouted in disbelief, "This is a lie. No human fleet could do this." But deep inside, they knew the truth. They had underestimated a species that had survived every Death World challenge. Now that same species was turning its fury on the stars. Back in the void, Admiral Reyes stood tall. Her ships formed a circle around the last alien cruisers. The enemy tried to bargain, tried to surrender, but she gave no mercy. Her words cut through the comms like a blade. "You killed our leader. Now feel the weight of humanity's wrath." And with a final command, the human fleet unleashed everything. Railguns fired, plasma burned, missiles screamed through the dark. The last of the alien fleet was torn apart. One by one, their ships became fire and dust. When silence returned, only humans remained. The battlefield was a graveyard of alien pride. The first strike was complete, and the galaxy had felt the first taste of vengeance. Yet Admiral Reyes knew this was only the beginning. She looked into the void, her voice steady. "Tonight, we took one fleet," she said. "Tomorrow, we burn their empire." And as her words echoed across the bridge, every soldier, every crew member felt it in their bones. The war had begun, and humanity would not stop until the galaxy itself bowed before them. The smoke of the first strike had not cleared. Alien wreckage still floated like ash across the void. But already the Terran armada moved again. There was no pause, no mercy, no rest. In system after system, human warships appeared like ghosts. One moment the stars were calm. The next moment fire rained down. Alien fleets rushed to defend their sectors. But every time they stood to fight, the humans broke them. Every defense line was torn open like paper. Every fortress world trembled under human guns. Entire planets watched the sky turn red. Human cruisers fell upon alien shipyards. Railguns and plasma fire destroyed fleets before they could even launch. The galaxy had expected rebellion, but what they faced was annihilation. Alien admirals shouted in disbelief. "They strike everywhere. They appear in systems thousands of light years apart. How is this possible?" But the truth was simple. Humanity had been preparing for decades. Every hidden fleet, every secret weapon now unleashed together, the Council sent orders to their strongest worlds. "Hold your ground. Humans cannot fight us everywhere." But messages soon returned soaked in fear. "Our ground defenses are gone. Their dropships fell like fire from the sky. Our skies are burning. Their weapons cut through shields we thought invincible. They are not fighting for victory. They are fighting for vengeance." On the bridge of the flagship Vigilant, Admiral Reyes stood in silence. Her officers reported victory after victory, yet her eyes were cold. She knew this was not war anymore. This was punishment in the Vega sector. Alien nobles fled their palaces, but human infantry stormed their cities. Every banner of the Council was torn down and burned. Every world that once laughed at Earth now kneeled in silence. The galaxy's markets collapsed. Trade routes were shattered, communications died. Entire empires bled wealth and soldiers, because humanity struck not only with weapons, but with strategy sharper than any blade. Alien historians would later call it the Season of Fire, a time when whole civilizations vanished in weeks, entire star systems reduced to ruins, and still, the Terran fleets moved forward. On one council world, a desperate governor begged for peace. "We will surrender, we will give tribute, just stop this destruction." But the humans gave no answer. Their warships appeared in orbit, and in less than an hour the city was gone. Fear spread faster than fire. Aliens whispered to one another, "Do not fight the humans, they are death itself." Their fleets do not sleep. Their weapons never miss, their wrath never ends. Some tried to resist. An alliance of 5 alien empires gathered a massive fleet. Thousands of ships lined up, shining like a wall of steel for a moment. They believed they could stop the storm, but when the battle began, they saw the truth. Human weapons cut through their lines. Cloaked ships struck from behind, and in hours, the greatest alliance the galaxy had ever seen. Burned to dust, the Council watched in horror. Their maps showed red fire spreading across every border. Their spies returned only with silence, and their pride began to rot into fear. They should have been broken, one elder whispered. How did we awaken this nightmare? No one answered because deep down they all knew. They had killed Earth's leader, and in doing so, they had united every human heart in vengeance on Earth. The people watched each victory with burning eyes. Every destroyed alien fleet was shown on giant screens. Children clapped, elders wept. Soldiers marched with unshakable pride. The galaxy had tried to kill their spirit, but instead, it had created a fire that would never be put out. Admiral Rhea stood before her fleet. Her voice carried across every ship. The galaxy burns because they betrayed us, she said. But we are not finished. She raised her hand, and the crews cheered like thunder. For every human life they took, we will take their empires apart, piece by piece, and as the Terran armada moved once more, the stars themselves seemed to tremble, because everywhere they went, the same truth followed. No empire could stop them. No army could break them, and the galaxy itself was falling into flames. The betrayal had lit the fire. The call of vengeance had unleashed the storm. The first strike had shown their power, but now the galaxy itself was burning. The Council's palace shook with fear. Reports arrived one after another. Entire fleets destroyed in hours. Worlds falling with no survivors. Trade routes gone forever. The elders sat frozen, their golden robes useless against the cold truth. The galaxy they ruled for centuries was collapsing, and the flames carried only one name: humanity. In desperation, the Council called their armies. Every surviving empire sent ships, thousands upon thousands, gathered into the largest fleet ever built. A wall of steel and fire stretched across the stars. They swore this would be humanity's end. They swore this would be their final stand. The battlefield chosen was the Orion Gate, a star system at the edge of the galaxy. If they could hold it, they believed they might stop the Terran armada. Alien commanders raised their banners. Admirals shouted words of courage, but beneath their pride was fear. Because they remembered the first strike. They remembered how easily humans destroyed what they thought invincible. Then the void shifted. Out of hyperspace came the Terran fleets. Black ships gliding like shadows, engines burning like suns, their numbers smaller, yet their presence heavier than mountains. At the front was the flagship Vigilant. Admiral Rhea stood tall on its bridge, her voice cold and steady. Council armies, she spoke through the comms. You thought killing one leader would silence us. Instead, you awakened billions. Tonight we end this war. The alien fleet opened fire first. Thousands of beams lit the void. Explosions tore through empty space, but the Terran ships moved with terrifying precision. Every missile dodged, every railgun strike perfectly placed, and then humanity revealed its secret. Behind the armada, a shadow emerged. At first it looked like a black wall blocking the stars. Then its outline grew clearer. A ship so massive it dwarfed moons. The Eternal Wrath, humanity's hidden supership, built in silence for decades. The Council commanders froze in disbelief. No world could build such a thing, one whispered. But it was real. And when its weapons powered up, suns themselves seemed to bow. The Eternal Wrath fired once. A single beam tore across the battlefield. Dozens of alien battleships vanished in white light. The galaxy's proudest weapons shattered like glass. Panic spread instantly. Retreat! Retreat! Alien captains screamed, but Admiral Reyes gave the order. Do not let them escape. Tonight there will be no survivors. The Terran armada closed in. Every railgun thundered, every plasma cannon burned. Missiles rained like storms, alien fleets broke apart, their formations collapsing. What was once the greatest armada in history became nothing but wreckage. On the Council homeworld, leaders watched in silence. They could not believe what they were seeing. Centuries of power erased in hours. Empires that once ruled with arrogance, now nothing but dust in the stars. As the last alien flagship fell, Admiral Reyes opened the comms one final time. Her words cut deeper than any weapon. You killed one man thinking it would break us, but his death united all of humanity, and tonight, you pay the price. Silence filled the galaxy. The Council's fleets were gone, their armies shattered. World after world fell into Terran hands, and none dared resist anymore in the streets of Earth. People filled the skies with light. Children shouted with joy. Soldiers marched in triumph. The betrayal that had once brought grief had now forged a new destiny. Humanity was no longer just a young species on the edge of the galaxy. They were its rulers, forged in loss. Sharpened by vengeance, unstoppable in unity, the council chambers were empty, their thrones abandoned, their empires nothing but ashes. The galaxy had witnessed the final judgment, and it was written in fire. The betrayal had lit the spark. The call of vengeance had awakened the fleets. The first strike had shown humanity's fangs. The galaxy burns had spread their wrath like wildfire, and now, the final judgment had ended it all. For the first time, the galaxy bowed not to the Council, but to Earth, and every star seemed to whisper the same truth. Humanity had risen, and nothing could ever bring them down again.